Part 2 of the best ever players to wear that specific number. And bear with me, I know you guys are screaming, number 14, Cruyff deserves to be on this. We'll be here all day. I'll end up going up to number 23 and talking about how Beckham wore 23 for the LA Galaxy and in Real Madrid and is the best number for that, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go from 1 to 11 because that is traditionally what happens in world football. So, yeah, maybe we'll make some specific clip soon in the future when the best number 13s of all time or 14s of all time. But at the moment, we're going to stick to what we set out to do. And that is continuing on our list. Now we go to number 6. Der Kaiser is firmly within a shout, and he will be the only player in this full list that I will go against what I have said before. Yeah, I have a recency bias, and I look at players that have influenced me in the game. But when I was younger, I watched relentlessly Beckenbauer play football. I watched everything I could to try and grasp what made this guy great. And it was so easy. He was the reason why defenders became composed. He's the reason why Ramos takes the ball from his goalkeeper. He's the reason why you get defenders supporting the attack when they can and playing these through passes, and why defenders have to be technically as gifted as everyone else on the park. Without him, you probably still would just have massive bruisers at the back. Vinnie Jones is running around just volleying people. But Beckenbauer is the reason why defenders have to be clued up, they have to be intelligent, and they have to be gifted with their feet as well. Just listen to this over his tenure in football. He redefined the role of defender, but from 1971 to 1976, he won 3 Bundesliga titles, 3 European Cups, a World Cup, a European Championship, and 2 Ballon d'Ors. If that was a mic, it would be dropped. There is no doubt in my mind that number 6 goes to the best number 6, and that is Franz Beckenbauer. Now, before you go crazy, he wore a couple of numbers, but I couldn't fit him in my list, so I was sneaky. Found a way to put him in there, and he did wear number 6. And that's not taken away from the fact that Xavi deserves a mention in there as well. This is Xavi, who Barcelona, in every top 10 Barcelona players of all time, Xavi is immediately a given. He's constantly first name on the team sheet, constantly first name on everyone's all-time greatest Spanish players or Barcelona players. It's just unfortunate that I was sneaky and tried to find a way for Franz Beckenbauer in there. If I didn't have this crazy infatuation with Zinedine Zidane, maybe I would have put Beckenbauer in at number 5 and had room for Xavi, but that's just the way I roll. Moving on to number 7. What is the point? The guy has his name trademarked. It would be against copyright infringement if I was to give what number 7 should be to anyone else other than Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah, Luis Suarez was a fantastic number 7. Still is. Luis Figo, David Beckham. There is an enormous list of great number 7s in the history of world football. Raul kept number 7 from Ronaldo for a long period of time. But there is only one CR7. And Cristiano Ronaldo will go down in the history books statistically as one of the most gifted footballers, one of the most gifted goal scorers, one of the most outright phenomenal footballers we've ever seen. And now he's added a 2016 trophy to the major accolades for Portugal. Would I still have had him on my list without that? Absolutely. Because the guy's won a Champions League for 2 different teams. The guy's broken ridiculous amount of records, both on a European stage and on domestically for Real Madrid. And its time at Manchester United, he was undoubtedly the best player we've seen in English football in a long time. So he deserves to be on this list. If you don't have him on your list, put your Messi fandom aside, he should be on your list. There's no one else that comes close, even in that list. So he is a sure set for my number 7. At number 8, it was a very strenuous task to try and decide on number 8. I don't often talk about how many great midfielders came from England, but number 8 domestically, Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard, both in their own right, deserve to be on anyone's list. I would not argue against it if you put Steven Gerrard on his list. Never won a Premier League, but that guy, what he did for Liverpool, especially in their Champions League winning season, not a lot of people can say they did that. And he deserves to be on that list undoubtedly. Frank Lampard, all-time top goal scorer for Chelsea, a midfielder. That just shows what this guy was able to do from the midfield. He is the reason why we have so many goal-scoring midfielders in world football, because Frank Lampard, in his own right, helped sculpted that. But again, he didn't score in a World Cup final, he didn't score in a Champions League final, and he didn't score in nearly every single important match that he's ever had to play in. That's what Andres Iniesta has done. And that's why he is undoubtedly the first Spaniard in my list, and deservedly so. Iniesta is one of the most gifted footballers that we've ever been able to witness, and he just always shows up in big games. Always. World Cup winning goal for Spain, Champions League winning goal for Barcelona. Just a frightening talent with vision like no other. Eyes on the back of his head. Works so well with Xavi. And it's unfortunate that I don't have Xavi in the same list as Iniesta, because they both deserve to be in there. But for me, in recency specifically, Iniesta comes in. Number 9. What am I supposed to do with the number 9 list? It's almost as hard as number 10. Not as hard, because number 10, trying to decide, of course there is only going to be one, but you have to take into consideration everyone else. Number 9, I couldn't bring myself to have one Ronaldo without the other, because one of the Ronaldos will forever be known as the original Ronaldo for what he could do in world football. And it is unfortunate that he never won a Champions League. That is a very unfortunate missing piece to this massive puzzle. But he had one of the greatest tournaments individually I've ever seen. He was unbelievably good for Brazil, both in the 1998 World Cup where they fell short, but then the 2002 World Cup when people say, oh, he's maybe past it. He's not got that same step. He's not got the speed. He's got a dodgy haircut. Yeah, those people were laughing for a split second until they seen him and they seen what he could do. No matter what your thoughts were on his physical attributes or whatever he could give to that team, he's soon silenced all those critics, and that is why Ronaldo will go down as one of the best number 9s we've ever seen. And I don't think there's anyone that could say that they were able to individually influence a team the way he did for Brazil. And his time at both Barcelona and Real Madrid as well. Very unique in the fact that he played for both teams, but Real Madrid is, of course, where he set that standard even more so, and I think that he deserves to be on everyone's list. Marco van Basten's a great name to shout in, to put in there. Numerous great number 9s in the history of football, but Ronaldo has to go in there. I can't go through all of them. I'll be here all night, especially when I have to go into number 10, where you have Ronaldinho, Maradona, Pele, Eusebio, and of course Lionel Messi. And I just don't even know what's the point in going in to justify it, because people will say that Maradona, because he won that major accolade for Argentina, deserves to be in this list. Again, I think that I took influence from what I've seen from Maradona and what he was able to do at that era and that point in the game. And look what Lionel Messi is able to do when the game has evolved. Because if you think the game hasn't evolved, then I don't know what to tell you. Players have gotten stronger, faster. We have had developments with health. We have developments with sports science. People are now taking greater care of their bodies. It is harder to play against physical machines. Not saying that there wasn't machines back there when the rules were a little bit more lenient and Maradona was able to be kicked up and down the park with no one saying anything about it. That is a valid point. But when you see the way the game has evolved and the way people and humans have evolved with the game and the speed of play and how so many different factors come into play now, and you see this small individual who has physically had a disability from an early age to overcome and then able to go on and just break every single barrier in front of him, break numerous records that were long withstanding. When you look at football before and after Lionel Messi, there's like often 30 years of gap in between. It goes from accolades set by the likes of Di Stefano and then broken by Messi, assist records broken 30 years back. It just shows what this guy has done since he's came to world football. He's just completely abolished every expectation we expected, and I cannot speak highly enough of him. Yes, you can use the reason why he can't seem to deliver for Argentina, the reason is why he doesn't go into anyone's list, but he's in my list, and I don't care what anyone says. He is still the greatest footballer we've ever seen. And it seems kind of anticlimactic that I should have finished with Messi, but at number 11, we have to finish because that's just the way the numbers go. And we have great suggestions in here. We have Ryan Giggs, we have Rivaldo, we have Robin, we have Drogba, we have George Best, who won number 11, and we have Romario. And I was just trying to figure out who I could put in there. And in more recent terms, we have the likes of Gareth Bale, but he's not at that standard yet. And I said that Beckenbauer was the one person who would break my rule at the start, which was like, all right, there's more of a recency bias. But George Best, again, was someone that I watched tape of when I was younger. And I watched him consistently and what he was able to do, taking into consideration all those factors that I mentioned in the game. And he was able to do it almost as if Messi can do it today. He individually was the greatest talent to play in the United Kingdom. Just physical talent, special player, all his off-the-ball antics and everything included just made him the person that he was, and what he was able to do at Manchester United in his career means that he has to be on my list. I just think I need to have him as the best and most iconic player to wear number 11. And take that into consideration. That's the final point as well. It's not just the fact that they're so gifted. It's what they were able to do for that number. Were they able to make that number almost greater than what it was? When Ryan Giggs wore number 11, there was tears around Old Trafford when he was able to just destroy defenders week in, week out, because it reminded people of what George Best was able to do. And I think that when you look at what players were able to do for that number, that's what kind of sets them apart from some of the traditional choices for me. And again, it's just my opinion. I want to know what you guys think, so make sure to leave your list in the comment section below. Thanks for bearing with me. There's no teleprompter here. How impressive was that? It will just run through all those statistics and all those points. I'll give myself in the pat in the back, or because you guys will probably insult me in the comments. But come back again to TYT Sports as always. Maybe we'll do more lists like this and other sports coming very soon.